Hi YouTube, it's Kristen and I am back with my video about my travel and my travel journals from my trip to Aruba earlier this month in March. And I wanted to show you how I used my kit that I brought and what my sketches look like. The previous video will have the my kit as I was getting ready to go, so you can go back and refer to that if you want to, but I'll just start with my two journals. So I brought both of these. This one is my sketchbook. It has watercolor paper. This one is my travel journal. Most of the writing is in here, most of the sketching is in there. This one I have added photographs to since we've come home, and I'll just give you a little flip through. So this is a Sojourner. Both of these are Sojourner covers. They're leather, and I made my own insert to go in here. So this journal was created with Tomoe River paper, and it's just a hand-sewn little insert, just like the Traveler's Notebook or Traveler's Company versions. And it has scrapbook paper for the cover, and it does have a piece of scrapbook paper in the middle of the book as well. So I decorated the front, and actually, funnily enough, the only souvenir that I bought while we were there was this sticker. So I put it on the front of my journal. This was a souvenir that my son got. I got a t-shirt there, and I just thought it was really cool because it has this little holographic thing on here. So I put that in this front pocket. And you're going to notice that this is full of stickers because I brought all these stickers, which I talked about in the previous video, and I just kind of did stickers everywhere. So sometimes they don't even probably look to some people like they would go together, but I don't really care. So I just stuck stickers down all over the place, and I think they're pretty fun. All right. So every day that we were there, I would spend the evening doing some journaling, and I left myself at least two full page spreads per day. And I didn't always use it that way, but that's kind of the amount that I allowed myself, and when I put the book together and figured out how many pages I wanted to have. And so there's stickers, there are the photographs that I added. The first day we went to the California Lighthouse, which is at the northern tip of the island. And that day I started making a bird list, and I just kept on adding to it the whole time we were there. These are birds that we saw at a smoothie stand. So my son was really interested in them, so I had to include them in here as well. And then, you know, we have beach pictures. We had pool time. This is actually my TWSBI with the Diatramentus Document Fuchsia ink. So that is a water resistant ink. This one was done with my Lamy Joy and a Lamy turquoise ink, which is not water resistant, so I have to be careful. It makes me a little bit nervous to do some writing with non-water resistant inks. This is resistant, so I tend to be I probably do less with the blue, but I just love that color so much. So if I could find a more permanent version of something like that, I would totally get it. So there are some more pictures. This is a little tip in because we had a lot of pictures from this day. We were doing a birthday celebration for my husband, my daughter, and her husband. And they all had birthdays in February. They were big birthdays, which is why we took the trip. And so I had to include all of them, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to have enough room later, so I didn't leave an extra page, but I like that. I think that looks really fun. And one thing about adding this piece of scrap paper in the middle, well, there were two reasons for doing it. Number one was it just made the binding a little more secure because this is a cardstock paper. And I thought it might be a little easier on the rest of the papers if I had something sturdy in the middle. But then it also just gave me some freedom for adding in extra things. So when I got home and I was printing the pictures, like I would leave spaces, like, let's see, on here, I would, with a pencil, I would mark down on the page, oh yeah, I want to do the lighthouse pictures and you know, this beach picture over here, but I wasn't exactly sure how it was all going to end up, and I knew how many pictures were on my phone, but you know, sometimes you want to print more than you originally think, so I knew there would be some times when I might run out of room, and having this scrapbook paper in here just gave me that extra flexibility that I knew I would have places where I could stick extra pictures. So these were not necessarily having to do with this particular day, you know, just pictures from the trip that I really liked. So I like this one because this shows my daughter and me working on sketching. And she actually did end up taking home, she used the medium-sized palette that I had. I brought the large and the tiny and the medium-sized art toolkit palette. She ended up taking home that medium-sized one so she could test it out at home. And she also liked the large water brush that I had in my kit, so she took that as well, which was fine because that one wasn't my favorite. So we had everything we needed to just sit down and create on a day when we wanted to just hang out at the Airbnb house. I took pictures of my journal as I was working on it, and you might notice that this journal is not this one. That's my regular weekly vertical journal that I write in every day, you know, no matter where we are. And I did bring that one with me. I just didn't include it in this kit. So there's some more pictures. There's an iguana that we saw. We did a catamaran sailing trip that was really fun. So there were a lot of pictures from that. I included a whole bunch of different pictures from that trip, which was super fun. Stuck in all the stickers. When we came home, I added more stickers. So I had already pre-decorated with some stickers. I also put in some stickers while we were there. And then when we came home, I printed out the pictures that I wanted to use and I put them in place. Sometimes, like, I had to trim them to make them fit because this is overlapping, but you know, I did pretty well with that. And then anytime there was empty spaces, I just stuck in a bunch more stickers. A lot of these stickers, some of them I really like, but some of them I would never buy again, and I don't even know why I had them in the first place. So I was happy to just use them, and it just, you know, I think this is just really fun. It's chaotic and colorful, which is kind of my style anyway. So I think it came out pretty cute. We had one day that we went to Oranjestad, which is the big city of Aruba, which is not terribly big, but you know, that's where the airport is and where the cruise ships come in and everything. And we only spent one day there walking around the shops, and actually not even a day, it was only a couple of hours. And so we got some fun pictures there. These are at Lucy's, what's it called? Retired Surfers Bar and Restaurant. And they have this outside. So Everybody had to get the picture on the surfboard. They have these gigantic flamingos, this big flamingo statue, which is pretty cool. And these Dutch people where you can put your face in there. And then in the marina, there were crabs and the pelican. And that was just really fun. So, I'll get to my sketchbook in a minute. But a lot of this, almost all the sketching that I did was actually back at the Airbnb because my family, you know, sometimes they're happy to wait for me to sketch something, but if it's really hot and everybody's tired and there's no shade, which is pretty much the way everything is in Aruba, nobody wants to wait for me to sketch something, which is fine. So I would take a picture of whatever I wanted to sketch and then go back and sketch it in the cool shade where it was pretty comfortable. So on the last, oh, I guess, on the last day that we were there, I don't know if I actually put a picture of it in here, but I did do a sketch, so I'll tell you about it when we get to the sketch. On the last day that we were there, we took my daughter and her husband to the airport because they had a different flight than ours. And then we went back to Oranjestad and had lunch at a restaurant right next to the marina. And while we were sitting there, it's like right across from where these boats are, there's a grassy area there, and there was a great big marine iguana. Well, not a marine iguana. It's a green iguana. But it doesn't look anything like this. It's super craggy, has all these great big spines down the back. It's not even green. And it was so cool. I had to get pictures and sketch. So I did some sketches while we were sitting at the restaurant because we had probably almost 2 hours to wait before our flight. So we just went there. We sat in the restaurant, which is right next to this. And then we moved over to the Starbucks, which was also right next to this. So we had lots of time to just sit and sketch. So one thing that I did that I think everybody should do when they are traveling is I sent myself a postcard. So this one, there wasn't actually a very good postcard selection in the place that I went. Since we really didn't hardly do any shopping, we didn't go looking for souvenirs. So anyway, this is the only one that I liked of the selection that I had, which was from the lighthouse. And so I wrote myself a note and sent it. We were at one of the hotels for something, and I just asked the desk if they had stamps, and they did, which was very nice. So I got the Aruban stamp, and it actually came just a few days ago. So I forgot to check and see. I sent it on March 5th, and I think it came on the 23rd, maybe. So it took a couple weeks, but that was not bad. Oh, here it is. This is the other iguana that was just right there at the marina. He was very impressive. Big iguana. Okay, so before I get to the sketchbook, the one other thing that I wanted to mention was that I talked about these sticker books, and this is actually a bit changed since when I showed it in that previous journal, that previous video, because normally these are made by Travelers Company, and normally they have basically this has two, if you look here, 2 folios of sticker pockets. There's one there, and there is this one here. And when I came home, decided that it had gotten it was really fat. It took up a lot of space in here while we were traveling. And I didn't, even though I had all those stickers to use on that, in the future, I don't want to travel with so many stickers. I don't feel the need to. So I'm going to be, bringing only as many stickers as I think I need, especially when it's just a short trip. You don't need anything. I mean, you don't need stickers at all, truthfully, but if you have stickers and you want to use them, try not to bring everything you have, because you don't need to be spending hours and hours putting stickers in your journal. So when I got home, because these were just stapled in, they were stapled into the cover. I took them apart. I had 2 of these books, so that means that they had 5 folios per book, which is 10. I took them apart and just put them back together so that I would have two of these folded things with a cover, and then I hand stitched them, and I made them into just a smaller version of the same exact thing. And it's great because this is, and then I put labels on them. So this is just for travel. I also made, because I had all the other ones, I made some seasonal ones. I've got winter. I think they're not all here. I have autumn. I did a spring and summer that's not here. I have an everyday version, a bird one, a nature one. This one, I don't remember what I was going to do with that, but it's not labeled yet, so I'll do that eventually. This one is for camping, and if I come across camping stickers in the stickers that I already have, then I'll just put them in there. And so this kind of serves the same function as the sticker release paper booklets, which you can get from various places. But I prefer to not have to take the stickers off of a sticker sheet, add them to another sticker sheet, and try to get that all organized. You know, this way I can just cut and put in the little pieces as I need them. And actually, in some cases, you'll have different themes within a single sticker sheet, and it's just easier for me to have them cut up like this and use them. And when I clear one of these out, I can just toss the backing and have room for another one. And on the other thing I did was add pockets. So some larger stickers, of course, don't fit in these pockets, but now I have one pocket at the front and one pocket at the back, which I did on most of these other ones. There's some that I haven't done it yet, but I just added those in, which makes them more useful for me. So that's a little tip if you want to try doing something like that. I did these with a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, but you could just do them with a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch and it would be the same thing. And they're super easy to make, so that's a good idea. Now, so this is complete. There really isn't anything else that I want to do with it. I feel really good about having it done, and it's just a great keepsake for me and hopefully for my family as well. Now, with the sketchbook, I was going to talk about what I used. I mainly used my big folio palette, and I love this. It's a great size for me, and it has, you know, all the colors I could ever really want. There were a couple of darks in here that I just decided I don't really need. So I don't need to have all these colors, but some of them I really liked. In particular, this is quinacridone coral, which I was really happy to have. And I have a quin violet and a quin purple, and those were also nice. Also, this red here is anthraquinoid red, and I liked that one. I'd never used that before. That was good to have. Most of these are ones that I've used before, but there were some new ones. So anyway, that was really just fun to have. The little one, I didn't really need to have this with me. I did take it in my purse one time when we went out, but I don't think I even used it while we were out. But I threw the the sketchbook, this little thing, and a water brush, and probably one of these fine liners. I threw that into my purse, and I had it with me, so, you know, if we got, you know, if the car broke down, I'd have something to do, and everybody else would be sitting there wondering what to do with themselves. So that was nice. So I'm going to go through the pictures in my sketchbook, but also talk about the various things in my kit. I ended up, you know, my water brush, definitely used that. The fine liners, I used a little bit, but I think it's always good to have one, because if you have a fountain pen that, you know, leaks a bunch of ink, or it gets broken because it's plastic and it somehow gets damaged or whatever, it's just good to have a backup. So I would always bring a fine liner, and an 01 or an 03 is probably my preference. Pencil, not really needed, but I did use it. Like I said, I used it on here when I was leaving spaces for pictures. If I didn't have those notes, it would have been really confusing for me to figure out what I had intended to put there. So having some way to mark it down, either by writing on there with a pencil, or having these little teeny weeny sticky notes to just stick down so that you know what you're intending to put there later, is a good idea. And then I had my white gel pen, which I actually don't think I used, but if I discover that I did, I'll let you know. And then I had all these things. So my clips, they definitely got used. Aruba is very windy, so these are handy. I used this water brush. This is a short version, like that. I didn't like it, and my daughter didn't like it, so I probably won't keep that because I don't see any reason to have it. I don't think I actually made any lines, but this was, you know, still handy to have. And I definitely used my tweezers, because getting those stickers out of the sticker pockets can be a little bit tricky if they get stuck down in there. So these were good to have. I'm glad I had that. And then, so this is my lightest turquoise ink, and I don't think I actually used it, because I don't normally use that for writing. And I don't think I made any lines anywhere that I used it for. So I probably didn't need to have that, but it's such a cute pen that I don't mind having it with me. I think I used this. This is my Pilot pen that has, oh no, wait. No, I think I did not use that. So this is a pen that is an extra fine point, has a super nice fine point, but it has water soluble ink. I didn't use it, so probably not the most important pen for me to carry. This Sailor Fude pen, I'm trying to think if I used, I think I used it here, at least for the title. Like that title, I would think I also did it with here, but I don't know if I actually sketched with it. This pen, I did do some writing in this journal with that one. This is water soluble ink. This one I use all the time. This is my favorite pen ever, really, right now. I mean, I've been using it for years, so I love this pen. It's perfect. It has a perfect nib size for me, which is a fine, and it has permanent ink, which is Diatramentus Document Black. This one, I don't think I used it all. I think this turquoise is too dark, and this was a sample ink, so I probably would not purchase that again. I don't know if I want to use it for anything. The only thing that I probably would have changed in my kit is the ink that I had in the Sailor. In the past, I've always kept platinum carbon black ink in here, and when I recently cleaned it out and refilled it, I put in the Diatramentus Document Black, And that's a fine ink for writing, but I don't think it's quite dark enough for my sketches. So I actually would prefer to have the platinum carbon black, and I'll probably replace that at some point. So let's go through my sketchbook. You've probably seen the whole thing, but we're going to start at the beginning and go through. And first, I just wanted to say this is a handmade sketchbook also. And I used my gel printed paper. This is a heavier weight watercolor paper that I used for the covers. And this is made with this Coptic and French link binding. So what's nice about this binding is it lays completely flat. There's never a bump in your pages, which is great for sketching. And it just, I think it makes a really pretty binding. It doesn't bother me that this is exposed because I kept it in here. And in the past, I've actually traveled without any kind of cover on it, and it's been fine. So I would totally do that again. And while we were there, I colored in. I had already pre-sketched some stuff here, but I colored it with watercolors. I added this because doodling flowers and adding watercolor is just a fun, relaxing activity for me. So I have no problem spending the evenings with my sketchbook that way. The first thing I did in here was a map of Aruba, and as we went along through the week, I added the places that we went to. So that's a really nice thing to have. And with some of these sketches, I didn't actually watercolor them until later. One of the things about watercolor, even on watercolor paper, is that if you could go over it again with a fountain pen or any kind of, even a fine liner, the line will be wider than it would before on just plain paper, because even when your watercolor is completely dried, it changes the paper quality somewhat, and so the line will bleed just a little tiny bit, which makes your line wider. And so it's not my favorite. So I wanted to make sure I got everything written down here before I colored in. So I didn't actually paint this until we got home. There's the lighthouse. Oh, I did use, this is the pilot with the water soluble Iroshizuku Takasumi ink, which I think is fun for sketching. So I forgot, but I did do that there. This writing, I think was done with my Lamy and the turquoise ink. And this is one of the macaws that we saw there. So these sketches, I ended up doing, I started thinking about Polaroids, and actually Polaroids are actually square, I think. But the first one that I did was a rectangle, and I wanted to have the title, and so, well, it was kind of a square, but then I wanted to have the title, and I put that in, so the picture ended up being a rectangle. So technically it's not a Polaroid, but I was inspired by Polaroids to make some of the pages like this. And there's some more. This one, I really love how this came out. This is the fancy restaurant that we went to for the birthday dinner. And it was so pretty. We got there at, I think, 6 o'clock, and the light was just exactly right. The buildings just stood out against that blue sky. And I just quickly took pictures as we walked in, and we actually walked here, but then we sat. This whole area behind this wall is a patio, and that's where we sat for our dinner. And the yellow buildings with the blue sky were just really impressed me. So I didn't do this drawing until the next day, but I really like how it came out. This one is one of my least favorites in here. Maybe not the absolute least, but you know, this one's a little eh. I think because it's not colorful, it's just not my favorite. This is while we were at this Eagle Beach. We went to the restaurant that's right on the beach and we got some lunch. And I just, you know, doodled a couple things. The laughing gulls were everywhere, and I just ended up really enjoying drawing them. And there's that green iguana that we saw when we were at the hotel. This is my least favorite in the whole book. This is the pool at our Airbnb, and it's, you know, it was a nice pool. It was really, really nice to have it. We used it every single day, but I don't like this drawing. That's okay. I'll always remember what the pool looked like. There is the big green iguana that we saw. Had this big, I don't know if they call it a dewlap, but anyway, he was bobbing his head up and down, and this was flapping in the wind, and he had these great big spikes on his back. He was really cool. There's this image was actually taken from, I used their, a picture on their website to do this after the fact. I didn't take my sketching supplies on the boat. This is, my husband brought me this root beer just out of the blue. He came home with it one day and I said, oh, nice. I love root beer. And this was the pancake house that we went to on one of the days. And I just took a picture of some of the table arrangement and did that later. They also had these little Dutch houses, and these were so cool. They're little ceramic houses, just a few inches tall. And apparently the only way you can get one is to fly business on KLM. And so the owners apparently had this big collection of them. So it was, they had 2 shelves just packed full of them, and this is just a few. I thought they were really cute. And then here's Oranjestad when we were sitting at the lunch place and looking out to the marina. There's other stuff behind, but I just picked out the parts that I really liked. And then the iguanas were on these rocks right here in the edge of the water. The flamingos statue, I just thought they were really cool, so I had to draw them. And then this was actually looking back from the marina toward where the restaurants were. So we ate lunch there, and the Starbucks was under here. And I just, while we were sitting there, I noticed the red phone box. But I actually didn't go out and take a picture of it. I Googled, I didn't want to go out in the heat and everything. It's really hot. So I just sat under the shade, and I Googled a picture of the Aruba red phone box, and this is what came up, and it was exactly the view that I wanted to do, so I just painted it from that. And I really like how this one came out. I was very impressed with this. I think, I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like I did just a really good job on that. All right, so there's the end of the book. These were all done prior to travel. And this is the last page, and I have this bird stamp that I put on all my packages that I mail out. So I just stamped him on there, and this is the first time I've ever colored in this image, so that was kind of fun. And then my personal stuff is under there. So anyway, that is my travel journal. So all right, so there's my 2 journals, my travel journals, and my supplies and how I use them. And I hope you enjoyed that look at one way to do a travel journal. And I do have one other thing that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to clean things up first, and then I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is all of these journals that I've made recently. Since we got back from our trip, and I realized how much I enjoyed the standard sized inserts, I decided to make some more. And I am going to be putting some of these in my shop. So I have, these are standard, and these are B6, and I will talk about them in a minute. With the standard sized ones, I have 3 that are made with Tomoe River paper. They're very similar to the other ones, that the travel one that I just showed you. These all have pockets on the front and back covers, and they're made with these very pretty scrapbook papers. So there's butterflies, bees, and birds on the Tomoe River ones. And I also made some sketchbook versions. These are created with Canson Mixed Media XL paper, which can take watercolor for sure. And they're all mixed media paper. So you could use something like this as just your one journal that you take with you. You could do your writing and your sketching all in one book, and that would be great. This stack is, they don't have pockets. I didn't put any pockets in these ones, but you could add pockets if you wanted to. They have different sketchbook papers, or scrapbook papers on the covers. And they are just ready to go as they are. But I have these two that have pockets on the inside covers. And I decided to make some with and some without pockets, and so that's just how it ended up. But like I said, you could definitely add pockets to those if you wanted to. So there are those 7 of the mixed media scrapbook paper ones, and 3 of the Tomoe River ones. And Tomoe River paper, if you haven't tried it, is also really fun for watercolors. It's a different experience than painting on paper intended for watercolor. But I've been doing it in my Hobonichi journal, and it's really fun. So if you want to try doing watercolor on the Tomoe River paper, that's a good way to experience that. And then because I got that B6 Slim cover, I decided to make some B6 Slim inserts that are going to go in my shop as well. There's this little house one. These two are the same, and they have Tomoe River paper inside. And then these are mixed media paper ones. So these have gel print on watercolor paper for the cover. So it's a real heavy duty cover. And on the inside is all Canson mixed media paper. So got several different colors. And the standard ones, you might notice, these all have similar sized pages. There's no variation in the size of the papers in there except for what comes from hand cutting paper. But in these are offcuts from making the bigger ones. So there's a variety of paper widths in here, and sometimes in the height of the paper as well. Like this one has a short piece in there. So I think that's kind of fun because you can make pages relate to other pages if you want to. You can completely ignore that, whatever you want to do. But these are really fun for these would be really fun for travel as well. And like I said, with those, you can totally do your writing. The Canson mixed media paper actually works really well with fountain pens, and fine liners for drawing and sketching and stuff like that. So anyway, these would be good for travel or for just a play around sketchbook. So if you are interested in any of these inserts, you can go ahead and check out my Etsy shop. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hi, I thought I would post an addendum to the previous video about my travel journal, because I did have a comment after I recorded that about the fact that possibly my document turquoise ink is diatomentous document fog gray. And I just want to say that I don't believe so, because if you look at this sample, the fog gray, which I have in this pen here, is definitely a different kind of blue than the turquoise. This came in a sample from Goulet Pens. I got it many years ago, so it's possible that I played with it since then, but when I looked it up on their website, it does look like this. So I think maybe the nib on this pen, which is a fine nib, it just makes it darker than it would otherwise be. But you can see I dabbed it with water right after writing the lines, and that turquoise really comes out there. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. If you are interested in a turquoise ink, that this may be a little darker, but if you do want to try it, just get a sample first. All right, bye.